Hey, it's Michael. Welcome back to Scratch Golf Academy. We're back out at the driving range here. Going to go through some fundamentals of when you're out at the range practicing, specifically with alignment and some mistakes that I see a lot when I give lessons with aligning. So obviously when you're at the range, you want to warm up a little bit, but you just don't want to hit out into a giant field, into no man's land, not really thinking about where you're going. So I highly recommend you get yourself a set of alignment sticks. You can go to your local hardware store and just pick up some of these orange sticks for a few bucks, or if you don't want to do that, just use a couple clubs in your bag. So it's no big deal there. But we're going to use these to our advantage when we practice. We'll go through kind of how to set up to the ball correctly and then what to do at the range to benefit from aligning correctly and how we're going to do that when practicing to reinforce it when we go out into the course. So first we're going to start off with our foot position. And just put your stick on the ground for right now and don't really worry about that. The main thing we're going to focus on is our club face, because the club face is the most important thing when aligning up to a shot. Say our feet are pointed way to the left here and our club face is pointed square and we're able to hit something along a straight path, the ball's going to fly pretty square. So we want to make sure that the club face is pointed where we want it to go. And I see a lot of people just put one down for their feet, but I highly recommend you get another one and use it for your club face. So we're going to pick a target down there, and I want you to put the alignment stick aimed right at your target, maybe a little bit to the right of your target that you're aiming towards, and then take your feet here, and we're going to start with making it pretty parallel. We can shift this depending on comfortability and stuff like that, but make sure it's pretty parallel to that first line to start. So when we are setting up to the shot here, what I recommend is stepping into the shot with our back foot like this. So step into the shot with your back foot like this, and I want you to make sure that your club face is perpendicular to this line right here. And we're going to use this as a guide to help us make sure our club face is square, because, you know, personally, I struggle with setting up with the club face a little bit open, and it being open looks square to me. But when I actually have it square on the ground, it looks closed. So having this stick here as a guide is really nice. So having this down here, making it perpendicular with our back foot down like this, and now stepping into the shot. Now what I'm looking for here is the club face remaining square as I'm stepping into the shot. And one really common thing I see people do is they go into the shot, they'll grip it here, and they'll kind of square the club up by turning their hands like this. What I recommend you do is just step into it with your back foot like this, make sure that club is perpendicular to this line, step into the shot, make sure that club face is square, then regrip the club, right? Now what we're doing is we are actually making sure the club face is square rather than gripping it a little bit odd and it actually being open. So make sure it's square, then regrip the club. So now that our club face is nice and square and perpendicular to this line, we're going to talk about our feet. So big thing here that I see people do is the club face may be square, but the feet could be well open, along with the shoulders, which we'll talk about in a second. But what this does is the club face could be square, but then with their feet open, it's actually sending our entire path to the left. So that's kind of where you get that over-the-top hook, or maybe a little bit of a slice push depending on what you're doing there. So make sure that's square there. And when you're stepping in, you want to make sure your feet now are parallel to this line here, and in turn will be parallel with our club face. So it might look a little bit odd to you, especially if you haven't been doing it correctly out at the range, but this is the perfect place to do it and kind of get used to it and train your brain to look at it a little bit differently. So now that you're in this good setup position, you'll go ahead and make a swing. So get a ball here, you'll place it on the inside of this front stick. We're aimed out at the target there. Put the club down, make sure it's perpendicular to this line, step in with our back foot like this. Now step into your shot, make sure that club face is square, then grip the club, make sure our feet are nice and parallel and square to our alignments on the ground. Now the big thing here is our shoulders. Really big thing that I see with my students is shoulders are pointed well open. So even though everything else looks nice and square, their shoulders are still guiding the club and bringing it over here. So make sure your shoulders are now square to your target like this. So we're bringing the shoulder in a little bit, squaring everything up Now we're ready to hit a golf shot. It might feel a little funky. You just got to trust it a little bit and use the range as a tool to get over it looking weird and feeling weird. Right, and then when you know you're lined up correctly, it makes it really easy to start identifying inconsistencies in your game and picking what you need to focus on, because sometimes alignment is like the main thing that's throwing everything off. It's super important that you're aligned correctly and you do it at the range, so that way out of the course you don't fall back into your old tendencies, which is very common to happen. So let's hit one more here. A little bit better, slight pull, but I know it was aligned correctly. Also, I recommend filming yourself, but just a quick little tip here on how to align yourself out at the range and use sticks every time you practice. It might seem like a lot, but I promise it's going to help you out in the long run. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Check me out over on That Golf Grind, and I'll see you guys out here real soon.